Hello, and welcome back to the Valerium Stories channel. The rain had been falling for 3 days when Alara first noticed the whispering in the greenhouse. Not a human whisper, nothing so crude, but the soft, rustling language of leaves turning toward moisture, of roots stretching through damp soil in quiet celebration. She had come to the old botanical conservatory on the edge of the city seeking silence after the collapse of everything she thought her life would be. The divorce papers had arrived on a Tuesday. By Thursday, she'd packed a single suitcase and driven north until the buildings gave way to forest. Until the only address that made sense was this place her grandmother had left her. A domed glass structure known locally as the Valerium, named for the ancient Roman awnings that once shaded amphitheaters. A fitting name for this sanctuary of living things under glass. Tonight, the rain had finally ceased. A silver half-moon hung above the canopy of ancient oaks surrounding the property, and through the curved panes of the Valerium, starlight filtered down upon thousands of sleeping plants. Alara moved barefoot along the gravel path that wound through the central chamber, her breath misting slightly in the cool, humid air. She had spent the last month learning the rhythms of this place, the way the sensitive mimosa pudica would fold its leaves at the slightest touch, the precise hour when the night-blooming cereus would unfurl its magnificent white flowers for a single evening before closing forever. Plants did not demand conversation. They did not break promises. They simply grew, died, and regenerated according to laws both simple and infinitely complex. As she passed the fern grotto, something shifted in the air. Not a sound, but a presence. The air thickened with the scent of damp earth and night-blooming jasmine. Before her, where moments before there had been only shadows between the towering tree ferns, a figure now stood, tall and slender, with skin the color of weathered bark and hair that flowed like cascading willow branches. The being regarded her with eyes the deep green of forest shadows. "You've been listening," the figure said, and its voice was the sound of wind moving through pine needles. "Most humans hear only silence where we speak." Alara should have been afraid. She should have turned and run back to the small cottage attached to the conservatory. But exhaustion had stripped her of fear, and loneliness had carved a hollow space inside her that recognized kinship even in the impossible. "I didn't know I was listening," she admitted. The being smiled, and in that smile she saw the gentle unfurling of a fiddlehead fern in spring. "Come, walk with me. The night is long, and the plants have stories to share, facts not found in textbooks, truths written in chlorophyll and cellulose." And so began Alara's education in the secret life of plants. A journey through the Valerium as the hours between midnight and dawn stretched like the tendrils of a climbing vine. Their first stop was a cluster of seemingly ordinary houseplants arranged on a wrought iron stand. The being, whom Alara came to think of as Sylvanus, gestured to a small, unassuming plant with heart-shaped leaves. "This is Epipremnum aureum, commonly called pothose. It possesses one of the most remarkable adaptations in the plant kingdom, the ability to switch between different forms of photosynthesis depending on its environment. When growing on the forest floor, it uses standard C3 photosynthesis. But when it climbs toward the canopy and receives more light, it can shift its metabolic processes to become more efficient. This phenotypic plasticity allows a single genetic individual to thrive in dramatically different light conditions. As Sylvanus spoke, Alara noticed how the potho's vines seemed to lean slightly toward them, as if listening. "Plants don't have ears," she murmured. "No," Sylvanus agreed, "but they perceive vibration through their cells." Recent research has demonstrated that the roots of corn seedlings emit clicking sounds and respond to similar frequencies from neighboring plants. The entire botanical world communicates through a symphony of chemical signals, electrical impulses, and subtle vibrations that human senses cannot detect without instruments. He led her deeper into the valerium, to a section dedicated to desert flora. Here the air was drier, the soil sandy and pale beneath succulents arranged like living sculptures. "Consider the Welwitschia mirabilis of the Namib Desert," Sylvanus said, placing a hand upon the gnarled, woody base of a plant that appeared to be little more than two leathery straps emerging from the earth. This organism can live for over 2,000 years, surviving on fog alone in one of Earth's most arid environments. It never produces new leaves after its initial pair. Instead, those two leaves continue growing throughout its entire lifespan, becoming shredded by wind into ribbon-like strands. It is a testament to the principle that survival does not always require complexity. Sometimes, extreme specialization in a single strategy is enough to endure millennia. Alara reached out but did not touch. She had learned early in her time at the valerium that touch was a form of conversation to plants, a stimulus that triggered responses. The Mimosa pudica would fold its leaves at her approach. The Venus flytrap would snap shut only after being touched twice within 20 seconds. A safeguard against wasting energy on false alarms like falling raindrops. Plants were constantly making decisions, constantly responding. They simply did so on a timescale that human impatience often misinterpreted as passivity. Many plants possess forms of memory, Sylvanus continued as they moved toward the aquatic section, where water lilies floated on the surface of a shallow pond built into the conservatory floor. The Mimosa pudica, when repeatedly dropped without harm, will eventually stop folding its leaves, a learned response indicating it has remembered that the stimulus poses no threat. This memory can last for weeks. Similarly, when a plant experiences drought stress, it undergoes epigenetic changes that prepare its offspring for similar conditions, passing down resilience through chemical markers on its DNA rather than through genetic mutation. Beneath the water's surface, Alara noticed the intricate network of roots belonging to the water lilies. Nymphaea species, Sylvanus said, following her gaze. Their roots anchor in the mud while their leaves float, each one containing a network of air channels called parenchyma that transport oxygen from the atmosphere down to the submerged roots. This same adaptation appears in rice plants, allowing them to survive prolonged flooding, a crucial trait that has enabled rice cultivation in paddies across Asia for thousands of years. They paused beside a towering specimen of Dracaena cinnabari, the dragon's blood tree of Socotra Island, its umbrella-shaped canopy casting a lattice of shadows across the path. This tree produces a deep red resin historically used as medicine, dye, and varnish, Sylvanus explained. But more fascinating is its growth pattern. It branches dichotomously, meaning each branch splits into two equal parts repeatedly, creating its distinctive crown. This fractal geometry isn't merely aesthetic. It maximizes surface area for capturing moisture from fog in its arid native habitat. As they walked on, Sylvanus wove botanical truths into the fabric of their conversation. Each fact a thread in a tapestry, revealing plants not as passive decorations, but as dynamic, responsive beings engaged in constant negotiation with their environment. The Venus flytrap, he noted as they passed the carnivorous plant section, requires 2 stimulations of its trigger hairs within 20 seconds to close, a safeguard against wasting energy on debris. Once closed, it counts additional stimulations to determine whether to produce digestive enzymes. 5 or more signals confirm live prey worthy of digestion. He gestured to a patch of moss carpeting a rotting log. Bryophytes like mosses lack true vascular tissue and roots. Instead, they absorb water and nutrients directly through their leaves, which is why they thrive in damp environments. They reproduce via spores rather than seeds and represent some of the earliest land plants, having colonized terrestrial environments over 450 million years ago. Nearby, a cluster of bamboo shoots stood like green spears against the glass dome. Bamboo holds the record for fastest growing plant on Earth, Sylvanus said. Certain species can grow up to 91 centimeters in a single day under optimal conditions. This rapid growth is possible because bamboo is a grass that grows from nodes along its stem rather than from a central apical meristem alone. They approached a fragrant shrub heavy with white blossoms. Jasminum officinale releases its strongest fragrance at night to attract moth pollinators, Sylvanus explained. This temporal specialization ensures efficient pollination while conserving energy. Many plants precisely time their nectar production, scent emission, and flower opening to coincide with the activity patterns of their specific pollinators. Alara found herself mesmerized not just by the facts themselves, but by the worldview they implied, a world where plants were strategic, adaptive, communicative, where a forest was not a collection of individuals, but a networked community. Trees in a forest communicate through underground fungal networks, sometimes called the Wood Wide Web, Sylvanus revealed as they entered the temperate woodland section. Mycorrhizal fungi form symbiotic relationships with tree roots, exchanging soil nutrients for sugars produced by photosynthesis. Through these fungal connections, trees can send warning signals about pest attacks, share resources with shaded seedlings, and even recognize their own kin to preferentially direct nutrients toward related individuals. He paused beside a massive specimen of Sequoiadendron giganteum, its reddish bark deeply furrowed with age. Giant sequoias can live for over 3,000 years and reach heights exceeding 80 meters. Their thick, fibrous bark contains tannic acid that provides resistance to fire, insects, and fungal infection. Remarkably, these trees require fire to reproduce. The heat opens their cones and clears competing vegetation, creating ideal conditions for seedling establishment. As they continued their nocturnal tour, Sylvanus revealed more wonders. How the corpse flower, Amorphophallus titanum, produces the largest unbranched inflorescence in the plant kingdom and emits a scent of rotting flesh. To attract carrion beetles and flies for pollination. How the baobab tree, Adansonia digitata, can store up to 120,000 liters of water in its massive trunk to survive prolonged droughts. How the sensitive plant, Mimosa pudica, folds its leaves when touched as a defense mechanism against herbivores, with the signal traveling through its phloem at speeds up to 20 centimeters per second. Some plants practice chemical warfare. Sylvanus noted as they passed a stand of black walnut trees. Juglans nigra produces juglone, a compound toxic to many other plant species, effectively reducing competition beneath its canopy, a phenomenon known as allelopathy. Similarly, when acacia trees are browsed by giraffes, they increase tannin production in their leaves to make them less palatable, and release ethylene gas to warn neighboring acacias to do the same. He showed her the vanilla orchid, Vanilla planifolia, explaining how its flowers last only a single day and must be hand-pollinated outside its native range, since the specific melipona be required for natural pollination exists only in Mexico and Central America. This labor-intensive process makes vanilla the second most expensive spice after saffron. They stopped before a collection of bromeliads, their rosette-shaped leaves forming central tanks. Many bromeliads are epiphytes that grow on other plants without parasitizing them, Sylvanus said. Their leaf arrangements create miniature ecosystems, tiny pools that collect rainwater and organic debris, providing habitat for frogs, insects, and microorganisms high in the forest canopy. Alara noticed a vine with peculiar seed pods. Entaita gigas, the sea heart, Sylvanus identified. Its seeds can remain viable after floating in ocean currents for years, allowing this plant to colonize distant shores, a remarkable example of long-distance dispersal adaptation. He pointed to a patch of clover. Trifolium species often form symbiotic relationships with nitrogen-fixing bacteria called rhizobium that live in nodules on their roots. These bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia that the plant can use, enriching the soil, a process crucial to agricultural sustainability. As they moved through the tropical section, humidity rising around them like a visible mist, Sylvanus highlighted the strangler fig, Ficus aurea, which begins life as an epiphyte when a bird deposits its seed in the canopy of a host tree. The fig sends roots downward that eventually envelop and compress the host, which dies and decomposes, leaving the fig standing as a hollow lattice, a botanical paradox where one organism's death becomes another's architecture. Orchids represent the largest family of flowering plants, Sylvanus noted, with over 28,000 species exhibiting extraordinary floral diversity evolved to attract specific pollinators through shape, color, scent, and even mimicry of female insects to deceive males into pseudocopulation. He gestured to a patch of lavender. Lavandula angustifolia produces volatile oils primarily as defense against herbivores and pathogens. But these same compounds attract pollinators and have been used by humans for millennia for their calming properties. A reminder that plant defenses often become human medicines. They approached a massive specimen of Rafflesia arnoldii. This parasitic plant produces the world's largest single flower, reaching over 1 meter in diameter, Sylvanus explained. It lacks leaves, stems, and true roots, living entirely within the tissues of its tetrastigma vine host, and emerging only to bloom briefly before returning to invisibility. Alara marveled at how each fact revealed not just botanical trivia, but philosophical insights about resilience, interconnection, adaptation. Plants had survived 5 mass extinctions. They had colonized every terrestrial habitat on Earth. They had shaped the planet's atmosphere, drawing down carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen over hundreds of millions of years until the air itself became breathable for animals. Plants invented photosynthesis over 3 billion years ago, Sylvanus said softly as they paused beneath the dome's apex, where moonlight streamed through the glass. Cyanobacteria first developed this process, gradually transforming Earth's atmosphere from anoxic to oxygen-rich over hundreds of millions of years. A planetary-scale engineering project that made complex animal life possible. He led her to a collection of cycads. These ancient seed plants have existed since before the dinosaurs, he noted. Their reproductive structures predate true flowers by hundreds of millions of years, and many species are now critically endangered due to habitat loss and overcollection. They passed a stand of sunflowers. Helianthus annuus exhibits heliotropism. Its young flower heads track the sun from east to west during the day, then reset overnight to face east again by morning. This movement maximizes light capture for photosynthesis and may also help regulate temperature for optimal growth. Sylvanus showed her the resurrection plant, Selaginella lepidophylla, which can survive losing over 95% of its cellular water content, curling into a brown ball during drought and unfurling within hours of rehydration, a capacity that has fascinated researchers studying desiccation tolerance. Some plants practice reproductive deception, he noted as they examined a bee orchid, Ophrys apifera. Its flower mimics the appearance and scent of a female bee so precisely that male bees attempt to mate with it, inadvertently pollinating the flower in the process. A remarkable example of sexual mimicry in plant-pollinator relationships. He pointed to a patch of mint. Mentha species spread aggressively through underground rhizomes, horizontal stems that send up new shoots at nodes. This clonal growth strategy allows a single genetic individual to colonize large areas rapidly, outcompeting other vegetation. They stopped before a towering specimen of Eucalyptus regnans, the world's tallest flowering plant. Some eucalyptus species have evolved what's called epicormic budding, dormant buds beneath the bark that sprout rapidly after fire damage, allowing the tree to regenerate even when its canopy is destroyed. Sylvanus gestured to a collection of cacti. Cacti perform CM photosynthesis, crassulation acid metabolism, a water-conserving adaptation where they open their stomata at night to take in carbon dioxide, storing it as malic acid to be used for photosynthesis during the day when stomata remain closed to prevent water loss. He showed her the Titan aram's relative, the voodoo lily, Soramadum venosum, which generates heat through thermogenesis during flowering, raising its temperature up to 15 degrees Celsius above ambient to volatilize its carrion-like scent and attract pollinators. Some plants exhibit circadian rhythms, Sylvanus explained as they passed a bed of morning glories. Ipomoea species open their flowers at dawn and close them by afternoon, a precisely timed response regulated by internal biological clocks that anticipate daily environmental changes rather than merely reacting to them. He pointed to a patch of legumes. The nitrogen-fixing ability of plants like beans and peas has been harnessed in agricultural crop rotation for millennia, allowing farmers to maintain soil fertility without synthetic fertilizers. A sustainable practice modern industrial agriculture has only recently begun to reappreciate. They approached a collection of ferns. Unlike seed plants, ferns reproduce via spores and have a two-stage life cycle involving separate gametophyte and sporophyte generations. a reproductive strategy dating back over 360 million years. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of willow trees. Salic species produce salicylic acid, the compound from which aspirin was originally derived. Ancient cultures across the world independently discovered willow bark's pain-relieving properties long before modern pharmacology isolated and synthesized its active component. He showed her the walking palm, Socratia exoryza, of Central and South American rainforests. Though the extent of its movement is debated, this palm produces stilt roots that may allow it to slowly walk toward better light conditions over years, a remarkable example of plant mobility. Some plants practice seed dispersal through ballistic mechanisms, Sylvanus noted as they examined the sandbox tree, Hura crepitans. Its seed capsules explode with enough force to propel seeds up to 100 meters away, a dramatic adaptation ensuring offspring don't compete with the parent plant. He pointed to a patch of grasses. Poaceae, the grass family, represents one of evolution's greatest success stories, dominating vast terrestrial ecosystems and forming the foundation of human agriculture through cereals like wheat, rice, and maize. They stopped before a collection of pitcher plants. Nepenthes species create passive pitfall traps, modified leaves forming fluid-filled pitchers that drown insect prey. Some even form mutualistic relationships with bats that roost inside their pitchers, providing nitrogen-rich guano in exchange for shelter. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of daisies. Asteraceae, the daisy family, produces composite flower heads that appear as single blooms but are actually clusters of many small florets, a floral architecture that maximizes pollinator attraction while minimizing resource investment per reproductive unit. He showed her the ghost plant, Monotropa uniflora, a pale white organism that lacks chlorophyll entirely. This mycoheterotroph parasitizes mycorrhizal fungi connected to photosynthetic trees, essentially stealing nutrients indirectly from other plants. A reminder that not all botanical relationships are mutualistic. Some plants exhibit thigmotropism, Sylvanus explained as they watched a tendril of a passion flower vine slowly wrap around a support. This directional growth response to touch allows climbing plants to secure structural support without investing energy in developing thick, self-supporting stems. He pointed to a patch of coffee plants. Coffea species produce caffeine not as a human stimulant, but as a natural pesticide. The compound paralyzes or kills herbivorous insects that attempt to feed on the plant's leaves and seeds. They approached a collection of mangroves. Rhizophorus species have evolved vivipary, seeds that germinate while still attached to the parent tree, producing elongated propagules that drop and float to establish in tidal zones, a remarkable adaptation to unstable coastal environments. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of poppies. Papaver somniferum produces opium containing morphine and codeine, powerful alkaloids that affect animal nervous systems. These compounds likely evolved as herbivore deterrents, but have been co-opted by humans for both medicine and recreation. He showed her the corpse lily's smaller cousin, the dead horse arum, Helicodiceros massivorus, which not only smells like rotting meat, but also generates heat to mimic the temperature of carrion, further deceiving its fly pollinators. Some plants practice hydraulic redistribution, Sylvanus noted as they passed a stand of oak trees. During dry periods, deep-rooted trees can move water from moist soil layers upward through their root systems, and release it into drier surface layers at night, a process that benefits not only the tree itself, but also neighboring shallow-rooted plants. He pointed to a patch of sagebrush. Artemisia tridentata releases volatile organic compounds when damaged by herbivores, signaling nearby plants to increase their own chemical defenses, a form of plant-to-plant communication that enhances community-wide resistance. They stopped before a collection of lotus plants floating in a shallow pool. Nelumbo nucifera exhibits the lotus effect. Its leaves possess microscale surface structures that repel water and dirt, keeping the plant clean and maximizing photosynthetic efficiency. This self-cleaning property has inspired biomimetic materials in human technology. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of tobacco plants. Nicotiana species produce nicotine as a neurotoxin against herbivores. Interestingly, some hawkmoth pollinators have evolved resistance to this compound and actually prefer nicotine-containing nectar, suggesting an evolutionary arms race between plant defenses and pollinator adaptations. He showed her the telegraph plant, Codariocalyx motorius, whose leaflets move in elliptical patterns throughout the day. These movements may optimize light capture or deter herbivores through unpredictable motion. A reminder that plant behavior exists on timescales both imperceptibly slow and surprisingly rapid. Some plants practice reproductive assurance through cleistogamy, Sylvanus explained as they examined a patch of violets. These plants produce two types of flowers: showy chasmogamous blooms for cross-pollination and closed cleistogamous flowers that self-pollinate without opening, ensuring seed production even when pollinators are scarce. He pointed to a patch of redwood trees. Sequoia sempervirens can reproduce both sexually through seeds and asexually through burl sprouting, dormant buds at the base of the trunk that sprout after fire or damage, creating genetically identical clones that may survive for millennia. They approached a collection of carnivorous sundews. Drosera species capture prey using sticky mucilage-secreting glands on their leaves. When an insect becomes trapped, the leaf slowly curls around it over hours, a patient predation strategy adapted to nutrient-poor environments. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of fig trees. Ficus species and their pollinating wasps represent one of evolution's most specialized mutualisms. Each fig species typically relies on a single wasp species for pollination, and each wasp species depends entirely on its specific fig for reproduction. He showed her the boab tree of Australia. Adansonia gregorii stores water in its massive trunk during wet seasons to survive extended droughts, a living reservoir that has sustained both wildlife and indigenous peoples through harsh dry periods. Some plants exhibit shade avoidance syndrome, Sylvanus noted as they passed a dense stand of understory vegetation. When detecting the far-red light reflected from neighboring plants, seedlings will elongate stems rapidly to outcompete for light, a growth response mediated by phytochrome photoreceptors. He pointed to a patch of yew trees. Taxus brevifolia produces paclitaxel, Taxol, a compound that disrupts cell division in animals, while toxic to herbivores. This same property makes it valuable in cancer chemotherapy, a poignant example of how plant defenses can become human medicines. They stopped before a collection of air plants. Tillandsia species absorb water and nutrients directly through specialized trichomes on their leaves, requiring no soil whatsoever. They represent the ultimate expression of epiphytic adaptation, complete independence from terrestrial substrates. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of cotton plants. Gossypium species produce fibers that are actually single elongated seed trichomes, hair-like outgrowths that evolved to aid wind dispersal, but have been co-opted by humans for textile production for at least 7,000 years. He showed her the traveler's palm, Ravenala madagascariensis, whose leaf bases collect rainwater that travelers and animals drink, a mutualism where the plant provides hydration while animals disperse its seeds. Some plants practice allelopathy through root exudates, Sylvanus explained as they passed a stand of spotted knapweed. This invasive species releases catechin from its roots, inhibiting the growth of native North American plants, a chemical warfare strategy that contributes to its ecological dominance. He pointed to a patch of ginkgo trees. Ginkgo biloba is a living fossil, the sole survivor of a lineage dating back 270 million years. Its fan-shaped leaves contain unique compounds with antioxidant properties, and remarkably, individual trees can live for over 1,000 years. They approached a collection of passion flowers. Passiflora species often bear structures mimicking butterfly eggs on their leaves, a defensive adaptation that deters egg-laying by butterflies that avoid plants already occupied by competitors' offspring. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of rubber trees. Hevea brasiliensis produces latex, a milky emulsion containing polymers that coagulate when exposed to air. This substance evolved as a wound-sealing mechanism, but became the foundation of the global rubber industry. He showed her the sensitive fern, Onoclea sensibilis, which earned its name by being among the first ferns to die back after autumn frost, a phenological response that gives it its common name despite lacking the rapid movement of Mimosa pudica. Some plants exhibit serotiny, Sylvanus noted as they passed a stand of lodgepole pines. Their cones remain closed and resin-sealed for years, opening only when exposed to the intense heat of wildfire, a reproductive strategy ensuring seeds germinate in the nutrient-rich, competition-free environment following fire. He pointed to a patch of aloe plants. Aloe vera stores water in mucilaginous parenchyma cells within its leaves and produces compounds with wound-healing properties, a dual adaptation for surviving arid conditions while protecting against tissue damage. They stopped before a collection of horsetails. Equisetum species are living fossils related to plants that formed vast carboniferous forests 300 million years ago. They reproduce via spores and possess silica deposits in their stems that make them abrasive, a property ancient humans exploited for scouring metal. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of hops. Humulus lupulus produces alpha acids in its flowers that inhibit bacterial growth, originally an antimicrobial defense that humans co-opted for beer preservation, enabling safe long-distance transport of this beverage. He showed her the cannonball tree, Curupita guianensis, whose heavy, spherical fruits fall with enough force to potentially injure humans below, a dramatic seed dispersal strategy that relies on gravity and impact rather than animal vectors. Some plants practice myrmecochory, Sylvanus explained as they examined trillium seeds bearing elaiosomes. These fatty appendages attract ants that carry seeds to their nests, consume the elaosome, and discard the intact seed in nutrient-rich underground middens, a sophisticated mutualism enhancing dispersal and germination. He pointed to a patch of cork oaks. Quercus subra produces thick, fire-resistant bark that can be harvested repeatedly without killing the tree. A renewable resource humans have sustainably harvested for centuries to produce wine stoppers and insulation. They approached a collection of peonies. Peonia species produce large, energy-rich flowers that attract diverse pollinators, but also invest heavily in chemical defenses. Their roots contain peoniflorin, a compound with anti-inflammatory properties valued in traditional medicine. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of rhododendrons. Rhododendron species produce granulotoxins in their nectar and pollen, compounds that can cause mad honey intoxication in humans, but may serve as selective filters, ensuring only tolerant pollinators effectively transfer pollen. He showed her the walking fern, a Splenium rhizophyllum, whose long, tapering leaf tips take root when they touch soil, creating new plants while the parent leaf remains attached, a vegetative reproduction strategy giving rise to its common name. Some plants exhibit photoperiodism, Sylvanus noted as they passed chrysanthemums beginning to bud. These short-day plants initiate flowering only when nights exceed a critical length, a precise seasonal timing mechanism ensuring reproduction occurs during favorable conditions. He pointed to a patch of sandalwood trees. Santalum album is a hemiparasite that photosynthesizes, but also taps into the roots of neighboring plants to extract water and nutrients, a partial dependence strategy allowing it to thrive in nutrient-poor soils. They stopped before a collection of bladderworts. Utricularia species operate the most sophisticated traps in the plant kingdom, underwater bladders that pump out water to create negative pressure, then snap open in milliseconds when trigger hairs are touched, sucking in microscopic prey. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of tea plants. Camellia sinensis produces caffeine and catechins, compounds that likely evolved as herbivore deterrents, but provide humans with stimulating and antioxidant effects when consumed as tea. He showed her the bottle tree, Adansonia grandideri, of Madagascar, whose massive, water-storing trunk allows it to survive months without rainfall while providing critical resources for wildlife during drought. Some plants practice reproductive timing through thermosensing, Sylvanus explained as they examined crocus bulbs. These geophytes require exposure to prolonged cold, vernalization, before they can flower, a safeguard ensuring they don't bloom prematurely during winter warm spells. He pointed to a patch of foxgloves. Digitalis purpurea produces cardiac glycosides that affect heart function in animals, a potent defense against herbivores that humans have carefully dosed to treat heart conditions, demonstrating the fine line between plant toxin and medicine. They approached a collection of liverworts. Marcantiophyta represent some of the earliest land plants, lacking true roots, stems, or leaves but pioneering terrestrial colonization over 450 million years ago. Humble pioneers that paved the way for all subsequent plant evolution. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of elderberries. Sambucus species produce clusters of small berries that ripen sequentially over weeks, a staggered fruiting strategy extending the window for seed dispersal by birds and mammals. He showed her the resurrection fern, Pleopeltis polypodioides, which can lose up to 97% of its water content and appear dead, then fully revive within 24 hours of rehydration, a capacity inspiring research into drought tolerance. Some plants exhibit kin recognition. Sylvanus noted as they passed sea rocket seedlings. When growing near siblings, these plants reduce root competition compared to when growing near strangers, a sophisticated social behavior suggesting plants can distinguish genetic relatives. He pointed to a patch of cacao trees. Theobroma cacao produces seeds containing theobromine, a mild stimulant toxic to dogs but pleasurable to humans, wrapped in sweet pulp that attracts monkeys and other dispersers to spread seeds through the rainforest. They stopped before a collection of pitcher plants native to North America. Sarracenia species create passive pitfall traps, but also produce nectar bribes along the pitcher rim, luring insects to a slippery surface where they fall into digestive fluids below. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of banyan trees. Ficus bengalensis begins as an epiphyte, but sends aerial roots to the ground that thicken into secondary trunks, eventually creating a forest from a single genetic individual, a botanical phenomenon where one organism becomes an entire ecosystem. He showed her the night-blooming jasmine, Cestrum nocturnum, whose intensely fragrant flowers open only after dark to attract hawkmoth pollinators, a temporal specialization ensuring efficient reproduction while conserving daytime resources. Some plants practice chemical mimicry, Sylvanus explained as they examined the hammer orchid, Dracaea glyptodon. Its labellum mimics the shape, color, and scent of a flightless female thinned wasp so precisely that males attempt to copulate with it, inadvertently collecting pollen in the process. He pointed to a patch of quinoa plants. Chenopodium quinoa produces saponins on its seeds, bitter compounds that deter birds and insects but must be washed off before human consumption, illustrating the complex negotiation between plant defenses and agricultural domestication. They approached a collection of mosses growing on north-facing rocks. Bryophytes lack vascular tissue but can survive complete desiccation through anhydrobiosis, entering suspended animation during drought and reviving within minutes of rehydration, a capacity exceeding that of most complex organisms. Sylvanus gestured to a patch of coffee substitutes. Coffea species aren't the only plants producing caffeine. Guarana, Paulinia cupana, concentrates this compound in its seeds at levels exceeding coffee beans. An adaptation likely evolved to suppress competing vegetation through allelopathy. He showed her the dragon tree's relative, the Canary Island dragon tree, Dracaena draco, whose red resin was once so valued it was called dragon's blood, and traded across ancient civilizations for medicine and dye. Some plants exhibit hydraulic lift, Sylvanus noted as they passed mesquite trees. During humid nights, these deep-rooted plants move water from moist subsoil upward and release it into drier surface layers, a process benefiting not only themselves but also neighboring shallow-rooted species. He pointed to a patch of milkweeds. Asclepias species produce cardenalides that make monarch butterfly caterpillars toxic to predators, a co-evolved relationship where the plant's defense becomes the insect's protection, illustrating the complex web of ecological interdependence. As Sylvanus spoke the 50th fact, the first hint of dawn appeared as a pale gold line beneath the eastern horizon. The valerium, which had seemed a realm of eternal night, now softened at the edges as moonlight yielded to approaching sunrise. Alara realized she had been walking for hours, yet felt no fatigue, only a profound sense of peace, as if the plants themselves had been breathing calm into her bloodstream with every step. Sylvanus turned to her. his bark-like skin now etched with the delicate tracery of morning light filtering through the glass dome. "You came here seeking silence," he said softly, "but you discovered that silence is an illusion. The world is never silent. It simply speaks in languages we have forgotten how to hear." Alara looked around at the thousands of plants surrounding her, each one breathing, growing, communicating in its own way. The ferns uncurling new fronds, the orchids preparing their intricate blooms, the ancient trees standing as patient witnesses to centuries. They had not fixed her broken heart. They had not erased her loneliness. But they had shown her a different scale of existence, one where time moved in seasons rather than seconds, where resilience was measured in millennia rather than moments, where connection existed not through words, but through shared atmosphere, shared soil, shared starlight. "I think I understand now," she whispered. Sylvanus smiled, and in that smile she saw the gentle unfurling of 1,000 leaves greeting the sun. "The plants will keep watch while you sleep," he said. "They have been keeping watch since long before humans walked the earth, and they will continue long after. There is comfort in that constancy." He began to fade, not vanishing abruptly, but gradually becoming indistinguishable from the shadows between the leaves, from the texture of bark on ancient trunks, from the gentle sway of fronds in the morning breeze. Alara did not feel abandoned. She felt accompanied. She walked back to the small cottage attached to the conservatory as the sun breached the horizon, painting the glass dome in hues of rose and gold. In her bedroom, she lay down on the narrow bed without undressing, too weary for ritual, but too peaceful for restlessness. Through the open window, she heard the first bird song of morning, a sound that, for the first time in months, did not feel like an intrusion, but like a continuation of the symphony she had spent the night learning to hear. As sleep finally claimed her, she dreamed not of people or places, but of roots reaching deep into dark earth, of leaves turning toward light, of seeds waiting patiently in soil for the precise moment to emerge. She dreamed of forests breathing in unison, of flowers opening according to ancient rhythms, of a world where everything was connected not by words, but by the quiet, persistent fact of shared existence. And when she awoke hours later to true daylight, she would step back into the Valerium and find everything exactly as she had left it. The same plants, the same paths, the same silence that was not silence at all. But she would be different. She would listen differently. She would understand that healing was not about returning to who she had been before the breakage, but about growing around the wound like a tree growing around a stone, incorporating the damage into a new, stronger structure. But that was for morning. For now, in the liminal space between night and day, between waking and dreaming, between solitude and connection, Alara slept deeply and without dreams, cradled by the gentle respiration of 10,000 plants breathing in the dark. Good night.